Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Sunday, August the 2nd. We're going to take a look at the Sunday NBA slate. Got a 6-gamer on Draftkings. Over on Yahoo, we have a 5-game slate. Yahoo is not including the 2 o'clock game between the Wizards and the Nets. That's not on the Yahoo main slate, so just a 5-gamer over there. We'll talk through both slates, talk about 5 guys specifically that I like for both DK and Yahoo. We will go by position, though, and hit on guys I do like at each position. And as we go, we'll build an early core of 5 players I see specifically looking at this slate the night before. These are my early thoughts on the slate. If you do want to get more up-to-date content from me, updated core plays, if you want to get my updated thoughts on the slate, I'll be in Discord to answer questions. You can get access to all of that over on Patreon, which is linked down below in the description. I do have updated core plays posted there. I usually post them about an hour or two before lock. I also am in Discord throughout the day to answer questions, to answer any of your guys' questions, to talk through the slate. So definitely check out the Patreon content linked down below. Also, give me a follow on Twitter. That's linked down below in the description as well, at DFS by Noah. If you haven't yet, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button too. Make sure to subscribe as well. I am uploading a ton of content right now. I didn't get an MLB video up for Saturday, but I will definitely have one up for this Sunday slate. I'm kind of upset that I missed a day, but I definitely want to get one up for the Sunday slate and continue uploading 2 videos a day, just trying to keep my channel as active as possible. So make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell as well. You will get notified every time I upload, and very soon I will be live streaming on YouTube. I definitely want to start going live. I do have the capability to now. I did just get fiber optic internet installed in my apartment. Before, I didn't have internet that was good enough for me to live stream. My upload speed just wasn't high enough. But now that I have fiber optic internet, I can live stream. So I do want to go live maybe once or twice a week to answer your guys' questions, to talk through different slates, whether it's baseball or basketball. It doesn't really matter. Just talk DFS. That's something I love to do. I do want to start interacting with you guys more. I feel like I don't interact with my supporters enough. So maybe, not sure if it'll be this week, but maybe next week I'll start live streaming once or twice a week, maybe even more. See how many people we can get to show up. If you would like that, definitely leave a comment down the comment section and let me know if you would be there in the live streams, because I would love to live stream now that I am capable to. Love to answer your guys' question. Just talk through the slate, whether it's basketball, football, whatever. Talk through it together. So definitely let me know down in the comments if you would be interested in that. And let's go ahead and take a look at today's Sunday slate. We'll start off at point guard, where we have 2 options, 10K and above, over on DraftKings. You got James Harden for 11-1 against Milwaukee, and then you got Luka Doncic for 10-8 against the Suns. So just choosing between these 2 guys, it's really close. I think I give the slight edge to Harden. I love this game in terms of pace of play. This game should be incredibly high scoring between the Rockets and the Bucks. If we look at pace this season, both of these teams are top 4 in pace. During the regular season, the Bucks led the league in pace, and the Rockets were 4th. Now, the Bucks do have a pretty solid defense, but pace of play is what really you look for in NBA DFS. And with how fast this game should be played, with how many possessions we should see here, Harden is definitely one of my favorite spin dubs. I do give the slight edge to Giannis. I think Giannis is my favorite spin dub overall, just because I like his matchup more. But I would say Harden's my next favorite. I like him a lot on Yahoo. Shooting guard really sucks over on Yahoo. There's just not a lot of guys I like. We'll talk about Dylan Brooks, who I actually do like quite a bit at $18, but if you can try and pay up for Harden at 54 on Yahoo at a weak shooting guard position, I think that makes plenty of sense. Love this game. Love playing Harden and Giannis together if you can make it work. On DraftKings, you can definitely make it work because there is a lot of value today, a lot of guys that are underpriced. So really like James Harden. I like Luka Doncic as well against the Suns. I mean, that's a fantastic matchup. Luka was kind of disappointing last slate. Only finished with 64 DK points in an overtime game against the Rockets. I know 64 DK points doesn't sound like a disappointing score, but if you told me there was going to be 300 total points scored in that Rockets Mavericks game, I would have expected Luka to have like 80 fantasy points. He only finished with 64, which was still pretty good. Played 42 minutes in the overtime game. Had a triple-double, 28, 13, and 10. I mean, this is just kind of the upside that Luka has. Nobody on the Suns is going to be able to stop him. Another guy you could definitely pay up for. Still give the slight edge to Harden, but I like both guys a ton. This 9K and 8K range, though, I don't think I'm really going to get to here today. I think Damian Lillard against the Celtics, even though it's a tough matchup, like Lillard's just going to play a ton of minutes. Portland needs to win games to get into the playoffs. even at the end of regulation and that Memphis game, I think Lillard had played like 39 minutes or 40 minutes. Like, they're just running him into the ground right now. We know the usage is going to be there. Nurkic is back, and Nurkic is kind of a high-usage player. But still, I love Lillard at 9,500. I think the upside, like, he could easily go 55, 60 DK points, even in a tough matchup against Boston. I think I'd rather roster him over Russell Westbrook. That might be a little bit of a hot take, but I do prefer Lillard at 9,500. Don't really think I get to much Devin Booker today. In this 7K range, John Morant was someone I liked a lot on the last slate. He had a pretty solid game, finished with 47 DK points in 41 minutes in that overtime game. I don't mind going right back to him today at 7,300. I do like him in that mid-range. And then when we get down here, so Derek White's someone I want to talk about. He had a really big game on, I believe it was Friday night. Friday night, he played 33 minutes against Sacramento, put up 44 fantasy points, had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal. So right now, the Spurs are pretty depleted. No LaMarcus Aldridge, no Trey Lyles, so they're pretty depleted in the front court. LaMarcus Aldridge, a high-usage player, so him being out is going to affect a lot of guys. But the Spurs are also pretty thin in the backcourt. No no Patty Mills, and no Bryn Forbes as well. They were both out last game. I guess it's to be determined if they'll be out Sunday. Since they were both out last game, I'm assuming they're both going to be out today. That frees up a lot of minutes for the backcourt for the Spurs team. I think we can expect Derek White to play 32 to 34 minutes again, maybe even more. This is a guy that when he gets the minutes, he can be productive, and especially with no Aldridge, the usage should be there for Derek White. So at $21, I like him quite a bit on Yahoo. He is definitely one of my favorite point guards today. We can actually take a look at his numbers this season with LaMarcus Aldridge off the floor. I haven't looked at him yet, but I would say pretty confidently that he gets a usage bump when you take Aldridge off. I think Aldridge is the second highest usage player on this team, just behind DeMar DeRozan. So looking at Derek White, has an 18.6% usage rate, which isn't very high, but does average close to a fantasy point per minute with Aldridge off the floor. Let's see if there's a differential there. Gets a little bit of a bump in usage, not as big of a bump as I thought, but does average a fantasy point per minute with Aldridge off the floor. Going to get 32, 34 minutes in a pace-up spot against Memphis. Memphis playing at the 7th fastest pace in the league. I like Derek White quite a bit. I think it's 6,200 on Draftkings. You could also go there. I do prefer him over Dejounte Murray. I think the minutes are just more secure for Derek White. So that's a guy that I like quite a bit in the mid-range. Shabazz Napier was someone I liked a good amount last slate. Was really disappointing, just 27 minutes, 22 DK points. I don't mind going back to him today against Brooklyn. I like this game a lot. This game should be very high scoring. It should be competitive. 2 pretty bad teams, 2 injury-depleted teams. I like Shabazz Napier again. He was the starter. He started the last game. I assume he starts again. So that makes me more confident that he gets the minutes long-term rather than a guy like Ish Smith. I know Ish Smith got a good amount of run. He finished with 27 minutes, so not as much as I thought, but did have a very productive game. 31 Draftkings points in those 27 minutes. I mean, 3,800, you could definitely play Ish Smith. I'm not sure how much those two guys played alongside each other. I should have pulled that up on Popcorn Machine just to see. If I had to guess, I would say, like, how many minutes did he play? He played 27 minutes, and Smith also played 27 minutes. So, yeah, it wasn't like they just split the point guard minutes. They did play alongside each other for, I believe, like 5 or 6 minutes. So there's upside there for both guys to where both could pay off their salaries. I think I prefer Napier just because he's a starter, even though he's more expensive. But don't want to leave out Ish Smith either. You could definitely go there as a value. Chris Chiozza was someone I had a good amount of interest in last slate. He started at point guard, only played 17 minutes though, just really was disappointing, just 7 Draftkings points. Even though he is the starter, I just don't know if we can go there. Might be too risky of a play. There's just better value that we're going to talk about later on in the video. So yeah, I think that's probably it for point guard. Let's go ahead and move on to the shooting guard position now. So Karis LeVert is someone I like a lot at this position. He burned me last slate. He burned a lot of people. He was probably, I can't remember if he was the highest owned player, but I know he was close to it. Only played 28 minutes in a blowout loss to Orlando. I know they only lost by 10, but if you look at the rotation, Karis LeVert got pulled with like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, so he missed out on like a ton of run late in the fourth quarter because of blowout. Only finished with 30 Draftkings points. Incredibly disappointing game. That was a tough matchup. This is a premier spot against Washington, literally one of the best possible matchups you can get. Wizards, fast-paced team, 5th in pace this season. In terms of defensive rating, they were dead last during the regular season. Absolutely love Karis LeVert here. I hope people are scared off of him because he disappointed last game. I'm going to be right back on him again. You look at his usage this season with like all of Kyrie, Dinwiddie, those guys off the floor. Has insane usage. I will pull it up real quick just so you guys can see. Take Kyrie off, take Dinwiddie off, the two high usage players. When you take them off the floor, obviously Caris LeVert is the biggest beneficiary. Played 354 minutes this season with those two guys off the floor. 38% usage rate, which is like James Harden-esque. I mean, that's like a usage rate that James Harden has and like Giannis has. 1.37 fantasy points per minute. Love Caris LeVert here. Going to be right back on him on DraftKings. Sucks that this game's not on the Yahoo main slate. If it was, I would like Caris LeVert over there too. But definitely on DK. I mean, he's one of my favorite plays. Other shooting guards, though, you got Derek White, who we talked about that you could go to. Dante DiVincenzo started last game with Eric Bledsoe out. Played 27 minutes, only had 22 DK points. He's 5,600, just too expensive for me. Don't really think I need to go there. Would rather play a guy like Shabazz Napier. Dillon Brooks is someone I like a good amount at 5,100. Played 35 minutes against Portland last game in that overtime game. His minutes seem very secure right now. I know Jonas Valanciunas only played like 15 minutes. I think Kyle Anderson only played like 17 minutes. We could definitely see those minutes, the minutes for those two guys be up and down, but I think like John Morant, Brooks, even Jaren Jackson Jr., if he's not in foul trouble, those three starters have very secure minutes in this rotation. I really like Dillon Brooks at 5,100. I like him a lot on Yahoo at shooting guard, just because shooting guard is so bad. Like, there's just not a lot of plays that you feel too confident in, not a lot of guys you feel like you have to have. I think if you can pay for Harden here, that's probably the best thing to do, but the Yahoo value, there's not as much Yahoo value today as there is on DraftKings. Like, there's some guys that are just severely underpriced on DK, whereas that's not really the case on Yahoo, which is kind of strange because Yahoo usually has the softer pricing between the two sites. But at $18, I like Dillon Brooks quite a bit over on Yahoo. I think 30 fantasy points is easily in his range of outcomes, and at $18, that's a pretty good value. That's pretty good, like, in terms of hitting value. So I do like him a good amount. I think he kind of shot poorly from the field. Yeah, I mean, he shot 37% from the field, 22% from three, and still had 30 DraftKings points. So if he shoots a little bit better from the field, like, there's an easy path for him to get 35, maybe even 40 DK points in that game. So I do like Dillon Brooks a lot. Troy Brown Jr., 4,500, like him a lot as well. Another guy that burned me last slate, but I will be right back on him today. If you watched that game or followed the box score, Troy Brown was in foul trouble. Only played 27 minutes because he was in foul trouble, just 20 DK points. The path for him to play 35, 36 minutes is there if he can stay out of foul trouble. He finished with 4 fouls, but I'm pretty sure, like, starting off the game, he picked up 2 quick fouls in the first, like, 2 or 3 minutes, which got him pulled. I think he, like, picked up his 3rd foul pretty early, too, which got him pulled as well. Like, the minutes weren't there because of foul trouble, but the usage is going to be there, and the minutes will be there if he stays out of foul trouble. We'll take a look at Washington this season with Bradley Beal off the floor. Obviously, Bradley Beal not with the team right now, not playing, so that's a lot of usage to go around. Bradley Beal is an incredibly high usage player. Troy Brown's played 794 minutes this season with just Bradley Beal off the floor. There's other guys we could take off the floor like Bertans, not playing. Jordan McRae no longer on the team, but even just looking his numbers without Beal, averaging close to a fantasy point per minute, 20% usage rate, really solid numbers for a guy priced at 4,500. And in this game against Brooklyn, a fast-paced game where we shouldn't see a ton of defense. I mean, I love Troy Brown again. Shooting guard and small forward eligibility on DraftKings, which makes him very appealing as well. So I like him a ton. I think Lonnie Walker is definitely a guy you can go to, 3,500 on DraftKings. Started for the Spurs, played 32 minutes last game, had 25 DraftKings points. Very solid production for a guy at 3,500. If we do look over at Yahoo, at small forward, Lonnie Walker is minimum salary. Small forward usually always sucks on Yahoo. There's not a lot of guys you feel like you have to play. That's kind of the case today. I do like DeRozan at 36 if you can pay up for him. But like Gordon, Middleton, I don't really feel like I need to go to. Jonathan Isaac's on a minutes restriction, so I don't really want to go to him at $27. Hardaway, Bridges, Barnes, like these aren't guys I feel like I have to play. So Lonnie Walker as a small forward value on Yahoo, I do like quite a bit. I'm assuming he continues to start, continues to get the minutes. And 3,500 on DK, minimum salary on Yahoo. Definitely sign me up for some Lonnie Walker today. I do like him as a value play at shooting guard, small forward on DK, and small forward on Yahoo. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about small forward now. So looking at plays I haven't mentioned yet, DeRozan I quickly talked about over on Yahoo, but looking at him on DK, 7,600. I just like this matchup a lot for the Spurs. I'm definitely going to be targeting multiple Spurs today. I think there's a lot of good plays from their team, specifically a guy like DeMar DeRozan, obviously, Derek White, Lonnie Walker. We're going to talk about Jakob Poeltl. Pretty much their whole starting lineup is in play for me. And if we look at DeRozan last game without Aldridge, played 38 minutes, was very productive, had 47 DraftKings points. I mean, this is the kind of production we should expect from DeMar DeRozan. And one positive is that the Spurs did win that game, so they moved up into the potential, the chances of them making the playoffs increased. So that makes me confident they continue to play their guys more minutes, like give their starters heavy minutes. If they start losing a couple games and they drop in the standings, maybe Pop will decide to just play the young guys pretty much because they won't have a chance. But as long as they keep winning games, I think they're going to keep trying to win games and make the playoffs and get into that 8th seed. So I do like DeRozan a lot. The usage is there without Aldridge. He's still 7,600, which I think is definitely a misprice on DraftKings. And with how bad small forward is, I think paying up for him at $36 makes it plenty of sense. Even if you want to play him and Walker together, I have no problems with that. But now other small forwards, I know Carmelo Anthony had a pretty big game last game. Played 37 minutes, 32 DraftKings points. 5,800, the price tag went up. The matchup's tough against Boston. That's probably a guy that I'll be avoiding today. Don't really feel like I need to go there. Rudy Gay saw a good amount of minutes. Without Trey Lyles, without Trey Lyles and LaMarcus Aldridge, that does free up a lot of minutes in the front court. I imagine Rudy Gay continues to play probably mid to upper 20s, maybe potentially 30 minutes. Got 26 minutes off the bench last game, 33 DraftKings points. He has very good numbers with Aldridge off the floor, does average over a fantasy point per minute. So as long as the minutes are there, I know the production will be there for Rudy Gay. He can score, he can rebound, can definitely get you a double-double. Pace up spot against Memphis. I do have a good amount of interest in him at 5,300. But then in terms of like value, 5K and below at small forward. So Daniel House, 4,400, I think you can definitely go to. Got a ton of minutes last game. No Eric Gordon, so he drew the start at small forward. Played 43 minutes in that overtime game. Even at the end of regulation, he had played 38 minutes. So I think it's reasonable to project him to play 36, 38 minutes here. Had 34 DraftKings points, was very productive. House is not a guy that you normally, see get rebounds and assists. He's mainly just like a three-point shooter, a scorer. If he can chip in those rebounds, though, like there is definitely 30-point upside for Daniel House, especially in a fast-paced game against the Bucks where we should see plenty of rebound opportunities, plenty of shot attempts. For 4,400, the price tag did go up a good amount, but I still have a good amount of interest in Daniel House if Eric Gordon remains out. And I think Gordon's going to be out for the next 2 weeks, so House should continue to start. He's cheap on Yahoo as well, forgot to mention that. You look at small forward over there, he's $12. Him, Lonnie Walker, two of the definitely small forward options, or two preferred small forward options for me over there on Yahoo if you can't pay up for DeRozan. But I think that's it for small forward in terms of like value plays. I think we touched on everything here. I know Cam Johnson started last game. He didn't really do much though, just 20 DK points in 25 minutes. I'd rather roster Daniel House for 100 more. I'd rather roster Lonnie Walker for almost 1,000 less. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Cam Johnson. Let's go ahead and talk about power forward now. So power forward, love Giannis. Mentioned that at the beginning of the video. He's my favorite stud option on this slate. 11K on DraftKings. Over on Yahoo, most expensive player on the slate at $56, but I love him over there as well. So first game against Boston in the bubble, Giannis played 32 minutes in a competitive game and had 70 DraftKings points. Really to no surprise. I mean, Giannis is just an absolute fantasy monster. I want to show you guys his numbers this season. We could take Eric Bledsoe off the floor because Eric Bledsoe is going to be out for this game. Giannis does get a boost with Eric Bledsoe off the floor, but you already know his numbers are insane regardless. 742 minutes this season with Bledsoe off the floor, 38.6% usage rate for Giannis, nearly averaging 2 fantasy points per minute, 1.94 fantasy points per minute. Looking at the assist percentage and the rebound percentage, I mean, 41% assist percentage, 20.4% total rebound percentage. I mean, those are just elite numbers for a guy, even at 11K. Like, if he plays 30 minutes, the path for him to easily score, like, there's such an easy path for him to get 65, 70 DraftKings points again, especially in a fast-paced game against Houston that should stay competitive, that should be close. For what it's worth, Giannis played Houston during the regular season once, only played 28 minutes and had 70 DraftKings points in 28 minutes. I don't know, maybe just take that with a grain of salt, or you could take that into a large account. I do expect Giannis to have success in this matchup, though. I mean, Houston has no bigs. They have nobody that could slow Giannis down. I imagine they're going to put P.J. Tucker on him or Robert Covington. Both those guys can defend well, but both those guys are also undersized compared to Giannis. At 11K, he's my favorite stud on the slate. I wasn't on him last slate, and that definitely burned me, but I'm definitely going to be on him here against Houston. I just think the upside's there. He looked great. The minutes were there. I think the minutes continue to be there. maybe, towards the end of their, these seeding games, maybe after the 5th or 6th seeding game, they'll start slowing down his minutes. But for now, I have to assume the minutes are going to be in like the low 30s, which is enough for him to pay off this salary with how productive he is. But then you have guys like Ayton, Nurkic coming off a monster game last game where he went for 50 DraftKings points, was 5,900. That slate saw a massive price increase to 7,700. I think with that price increase, I could probably get away from Nurkic here. I don't think I need to play him at that salary. DeAndre Ayton for 8,500. I don't mind. Great that he has power forward eligibility on DK. He also saw a price increase though, up from 7,900 to 85. So yeah, I think if I'm paying up at power forward today, I'm just going to play Giannis. I mean, he's the guy that I want to get to. But potentially other power forwards, talked about Rudy Gay, Jaren Jackson Jr., 5,200, definitely underpriced for the upside that he has. I mean, when this guy stays out of foul trouble and he gets the minutes, like there's so much upside for him. When we saw that last game, 43 DraftKings points in 43 minutes, was able to stay out of foul trouble. He had 5 fouls, but I guess he was able to just play through it. If he can stay out of foul trouble and he gets the minutes, don't be surprised to see Jaren Jackson Jr. put up 40-plus DK points again. He's always a risky guy to roster just because of the foul trouble. Like, his range of outcomes are so drastic. He's either going to play 15 minutes because of foul trouble and only get you 15 fantasy points, or he's going to play 32 minutes because he doesn't get in foul trouble and he's going to score like 35 or 40 DK points. If you want to take that risk, go for it, especially if he's low-owned. I definitely like playing Jaren Jackson when he's low-owned. Now, when he becomes chalky, that's when I can shy away because of how wide his range of outcomes are. I'll definitely shy away from him when he's popular. But I think with all the other value we have today, I don't expect Jaren Jackson Jr. to be too popular, which makes him very intriguing for tournaments, just in my opinion. But we talked about Daniel House. You could play him as a cheap power forward. Another guy I want to mention, Zach Collins. So Zach Collins started at power forward alongside Nurkic for the Blazers in their last game against Memphis, and I assume that's what they go with today. Hassan Whiteside only played 18 minutes last game. Just doesn't seem like the minutes are going to be there for Whiteside. He just seems to play like that backup center role and potentially a few minutes alongside Nurkic, but I have to assume that they're just going to give Collins a large majority of the power forward minutes, and then Nurkic is going to get the majority of the center minutes. At only 3,400, if we're going to get like 32, 34 minutes from Zach Collins, I know he wasn't too productive, just 25 DK points last game, but the minutes should be there, and he's near minimum salary. He's 3,400 on DraftKings, so I like Zach Collins a lot at near minimum salary, just assuming he starts again, which I have to assume he does. As a value, he looks like one of the better like punt values overall. 4K and below, he's definitely one of my top plays. But let's go ahead and move on to center now. We'll talk about the center position just before we end the video. So at center, you do have some guys you could pay up for here. You got Porzingis, Vucevic, Ayton. Porzingis I do like quite a bit against the Suns. This is a fantastic matchup. The Suns and DeAndre Ayton just specifically, one of the worst defensive teams against bigs. Ayton's just not a good defender. He's probably going to have a lot of trouble here with Porzingis. Okay, so the Suns, they played the Suns twice. Porzingis has really struggled, just 21 DK points, but that's not going to keep me off him today. This is a dude that just has massive upside, even playing alongside Luka. We saw these guys, or especially Porzingis, just kind of struggled during the mid part of the regular season, playing alongside Luka, but then he really turned it on like January, February, and March. Porzingis, looked like himself, going out there and putting up 40, 50 DraftKings points almost every night. This is a guy with massive upside, can get you a massive double-double. Can get you a 20-20 type game, like an Andre Drummond type game. If the rebounds are there, got 16 rebounds last game, 39 points, 70 DK points. Do like Porzingis quite a bit, but I don't think I can include him in the early core because there is a lot of good center plays, especially cheap center plays I like today that we're about to talk about in a second. But if you're playing a lot of lineups, I would definitely get exposure to Porzingis, and between him and Vucevic and Ayton, I think I do give the edge to Porzingis over the three of those guys, especially Valanciunas too. Valanciunas I think just a little bit too expensive for me. But one center play that I really, really like, another guy that burned a lot of people last slate, including myself. I did have a good amount of Jared Allen last slate. I'm going right back to the well on him. Another guy that not necessarily foul trouble, but blowout really costed Jared Allen. 27 minutes due to the blowout. Got pulled with like 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter and never returned. So he was on pace to play. I don't know if he'd play out the entire fourth quarter, but he was on pace to play 32 to 34 minutes, which is what we should expect him to play since DeAndre Jordan is not with the team right now and not playing. Allen's got the center minutes locked in. He's locked in for 32, 34 minutes as long as he's not in foul trouble and as long as the game doesn't blow out. And this is one of the best possible matchups you can get against the Wizards. The Wizards were absolutely killed by bigs. Thomas Bryant is a terrible defender. At 5,600, the price tag came down a little bit. I absolutely love Jared Allen today. Similar with Karis LeVert, I hope people are scared to go to them because they disappointed last game. Like, don't be scared to go to these guys. If this game stays close against the Wizards, which it should, LeVert and Allen are going to put up monster games. I mean, don't be surprised to see LeVert go for 50+ and Allen go for 40+. That's the upside that both these two guys have. Like, the offense is going through those two guys right now with no Dinwiddie, no Kyrie, and the minutes are there for Allen right now with no DeAndre Jordan. So that's a guy that I like a lot in the mid-range at center. Talked about Jackson Jr. You can play at 5,200. Now, Hassan Whiteside, his price plummeted on DraftKings. He is only 5,300 today after being 8,100 on the last slate. Only played 18 minutes against Memphis, just 16 DraftKings points. I have no idea what his minutes are going to look like. I mean, because he only played 18 minutes, I have to assume that Nurkic is like their starting center right now, and Whiteside's just kind of going to be the backup. But, I mean, Whiteside legit could put up 35 DraftKings points in 18 minutes. Like, this dude has massive upside, especially if he's not playing alongside Nurkic. I'm not sure how much those two guys played alongside each other last game. I think they played alongside each other like 5 or 6 minutes, honestly. I'm not sure. But, I mean, if you want to take a shot on Whiteside, might be a little bit risky, but 5,300, there's plenty of upside for him, even in a backup role, to pay off this price tag. I don't mind him at all. If somehow they wind up starting alongside each other, which I don't think that'll be the case, but if we get a Portland lineup and it's got Whiteside and Nurkic both starting, I mean, lock in Whiteside, he would be a top play. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to continue to go with Collins and Nurkic as their guys in the front court, with Whiteside just kind of playing that backup role, which obviously kills his value, but the price tag has also plummeted. There's definitely a little bit of merit to rostering him, especially in tournaments if he's going to be like single digits in terms of ownership. But the last guy I want to talk about is center. In terms of a value play, I think Jakob Poeltl, one of the top values on DraftKings. I made a little funny tweet about this. So Jakob Poeltl was 4,700 last slate against the Kings. He was really popular. Without LaMarcus Aldridge, he got the start at center, as you would expect. And he played 32 minutes, had 27 DraftKings points. I don't know why, but after putting up a pretty good game for his salary, DraftKings decided to lower Jakob Poeltl's salary. Like, normally when guys put up big games or good games at a cheap price, they, you up the salary so that way it actually becomes a decision, should I play this guy or not? I mean, at 4K, you just have to lock in Jakob Poeltl. Like, I mean, he's going to score probably 30 DraftKings points if he plays 30 minutes again. This is a fantasy point per minute player. Without Aldridge on the floor this season, he's averaged over a fantasy point per minute. Against Memphis, a team that has Valanciunas, I mean, they're going to need his size out there. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Jakob Poeltl is going to be incredibly popular, but I think you just kind of eat that chalk and then get different elsewhere. He's really cheap on Yahoo, too. If you look over to Yahoo, they only upped his price to $14. He was $13 last night, so he literally got a $1 increase. Jakob Poeltl, chalky on Friday night, kind of worked out. He's going to be chalky again, and with the price coming down on DraftKings and not still too cheap on Yahoo, I think that's chalk I'm just going to be eating. And then I'll get different elsewhere. I'll roster some low-owned guys to get it different elsewhere. I don't need to fade this Jakob Poeltl chalk because I think that could be something that definitely comes back to bite you. I mean, if he plays 32 minutes like he did last game, there's an easy path for him to get 35, 40 DraftKings points. Like, this is a dude with monster upside. Can score and rebound easily, can get you a double-double. I think 27 DraftKings points in only 32 minutes was kind of like a bad game for him, just given how productive he is. But yeah, guys, I think we covered center, talked about all the value plays here. I don't think there's any guys under 4K, besides Zach Collins, obviously. You could go there. Rodinks Kurucs, I forgot to mention him. I think he got solid run. Oh, no, he only played 16 minutes. I thought he was going to start for the Nets, but he wound up not starting. I still thought he got solid minutes off the bench, but it really didn't, so scratch that. No Kurucs for me. Zach Collins, though, you do have as a value center you could go to as well, who has center eligibility, 3,400. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it for center. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button down below before you get out of here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. And very soon I will be live streaming on YouTube. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll be streaming during the afternoon when I have some free time, answering your guys' question, talking to you guys, just interacting with my supporters. That's something I really want to do. Talking through the slates, whether it's basketball, baseball, doesn't really matter. I'm just here to talk DFS with you guys and break down everything. So yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you watching. Drop a like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.